This is Pulse 95.
Pulse 95.
It's the Morning Majlis. It's the Morning Majlis. Talking the stories that are shaping headlines, plus those that make you go,
Good morning, Sharjah and the United Arab Emirates. Welcome back onto the Morning Majlis. Well, we are well and truly into the second hour of the show. We will be talking a lot about your consumer spending habits. That is going to be the talk of the day. Let us know on the text lines 4215 how you feel about your expenses and your own financial planning during the pandemic. Did you end up spending more? Did you end up being broke, according to some people who've been texting in to the show? Did you feel that you've saved up enough that you can weather any storm or any rainy day? One country that is working on being high alert with the storm situation is the United States.
Yes, indeed. And the United States has been on high alert as a newly formed hurricane has been closing in on the U.S. Gulf Coast, threatening several southern U.S. states, even those heavily affected by the coronavirus, Florida, Mississippi, and Alabama as well. So we're going to follow that development, the possible impact it could have upon its landfall. And we're also going to be discussing major stories from around the world, the state of Asia's economy in light of COVID-19, what the experts have been saying, the possibility as well of that region's developing economies plunging into recession, particularly the South Asia region. So stay tuned as we talk about that because we've got some pretty big news on what's happening with India as part of that story.
You know, I must admit, one of the most fun moments I have on the Majlis is when I hear Abdul Karim speak Arabic.
Oh, it's amazing.
And his skills are wow. He always wows me. I'm like, whoa, where did that come from?
His Arabic is great.
His Arabic is great because his mother tongue is not Arabic. Mm-hmm. So, can you just give us like one sentence or something? Like say, in Arabic, say, I'm very happy to be with you guys today on the Morning Majlis. For example.
أنا سعيد جدا
أن أكون
للموجود على المجلس and عندنا الأخبار كبير من كل المناطق and particularly from من اليابان.
Yaban. Yeah, that's good. That's
من
good.
اليابان. في اليابان عندنا الوزير الأول أمين العام. الوزير الأول جديدة.
Oh, that's good. New.
Yes, exactly.
Perfect.
اسمه Yoshihide Suga.
So Abdul Karim just said that Japan has a new Prime Minister, Yoshihide Suga, and Abdul Karim, your Arabic is amazing.
On point. Always
I'm
seems
delighted.
amazing. Can we give him another clap, please?
Yes.
I'm delighted. I'm delighted. Well, I do try, and we'll continue trying. The reason why Rani has thrown me under the bus again is because of
here in Sharjah, the Arabic Language Education Center for Gulf States actually concluded its remote training programs in the field of teaching Arabic language for non-native speakers such as Abdul Karim Hanif.
Yeah,
there we go.
So we'll talk more about the center and the training programs that it provided and what it entails and how it benefited participants or students and much, much more about that. So
for sure. Well, stay with us on the Morning Majlis. If you'd like to grill my linguistic skills, you can do so on the text lines 4215. Go ahead and have your say, and we'll be right back here on the Morning Majlis.
Pulse 95. Between local lines, notes from the Emirate.
Yes, notes from Sharjah, and we're talking about teaching Arabic language for non-native speakers, and we tested the linguistic skills of Abdul Karim Hanif in the beginning of this hour.
Very impressive.
He always seems to impress us, and he gave us more than what we expected.
Really?
Yeah. I just told you to say one sentence and you just went on and on and
Got
on.
all the
and
news
on.
stories
Yeah.
too. Japan's new prime minister.
Oh,
Lots to talk about, yes.
It's amazing. جيد جدا. Well, the Arabic Language Educational Center for Gulf States here in Sharjah concluded its remote training programs in the field of teaching Arabic language for non-native speakers. And this came after launching the programs last June in the presence of specialized curriculum developers, mentors, Arabic language teachers, trainers, researchers, and also faculty members from different universities around the world. And the participation of specialists is a scientific endeavor to ensure the effectiveness and continuity of the implementation of the free, let's not forget that part, training programs remotely for those with specialization in the field of teaching Arabic to speakers of other languages.
Yes, and those training programs, free training programs, consist of a diverse package of programs that were in line with the international standards with the aim of meeting the needs of workers in the field. The packages of the programs were identified through a questionnaire that sampled the 6 continents of the world, in which more than 3,200 specialists responded to it. And the Arabic Language Educational Center for Gulf States highlighted that the training programs were launched on the 17th of June, continued until the end of August, and included the provision of 125 training hours that were carried out as well. Thousands of specialists in the field of teaching Arabic all around the world were involved.
125 training hours, pretty impressive amount of time for you to develop some basic understanding of the language. Dr. Isa Saleh Al-Hamadi, the director of the Arabic Language Educational Center for Gulf States in Sharjah, emphasized that the training programs had aimed to present practical applications on several axes in the field of teaching Arabic to non-native speakers. The director of that center also stressed that the training programs aimed to enable those enrolled to master the basic skills in teaching Arabic to speakers of other languages, and also introduce the most important and latest teaching strategies. And it certainly is. And I remember the days when I was doing studying Arabic back in my school days, or even a little bit in university. It was kind of hard to learn it, not going to lie. It's not the easiest language to learn for a non-native.
It's not easy. No,
Yeah.
it's definitely not.
Yeah, a lot of rules, inflections, and the whole dialect thing, I would imagine, is intimidating for people.
Oh,
because
yeah.
you're learning a language in a textbook, but then you go out into the world and, hey, I want to practice my language. I'm going to go talk to people.
Yeah.
And you start speaking in Fusha, which is the standard Arabic, and nobody speaks it.
Right.
It must be quite difficult to
Yeah,
deal
it
with
happens
that.
with me all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happens with me all the time. Whenever I speak it, I just get those funny looks.
Yeah.
And people get very... They laugh more than they'd say, oh, let's keep a conversation with him. And then that just happens.
Should we do like a majlis quiz on Arabic?
We can.
Arabic facts, like,
This is the Majlis
Yeah.
Quiz.
There we go.
You have a question for us?
I was thinking you should have a question for
I
us.
don't have a question.
Rania, I
The
thought you had a
father,
question.
okay, who is the father of Arabic language?
The father of the Arabic language. In what sense is he the father?
Like the
The
founder.
Yeah,
Algebra, maybe him. No?
he's written like a lot of literary works and notes in Arabic. And
Oh, that's incredible. I mean, it's always interesting to learn about the history of Arabic. What I always find fascinating is the way that Arabic influenced other languages,
Yeah.
particularly English, because so many of words in English have an Arabic origin.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and that's pretty important as well. So it's always interesting to see just how far and wide the Arabic influence has been around the world.
Do you have another quiz? Let's do more than one, and then we'll just
Arabic.
reveal
quiz.
the answers later.
I can maybe try describing the show in Arabic. That's what I can do.
That would be amazing. I'd live for that.
I could try doing that later on. But who's the founding father of Arabic? Or who founded the Arabic language? To me, it's algebra.
Oh,
The person who did algebra. What's his name? Al-Jabr?
Al-Jabr, probably, right? It's a logical conclusion there. But yes, my favorite Arabic word is shawarma for sure. It's a good one.
Shawarma?
Shawarma, yes.
oh.
Cuisine words.
Are you hungry?
Yes, I think that's why. Well, stay tuned to the Morning Majlis. We've got a lot more discussions coming up. All the big headlines and updates from Asia. Japan's got a new prime minister. What is that set to change in the country?
Wazir al-Awwal, you know, Wazir al-Awwal.
Wazir al-Awwal, there you go.
Wazir al-Awwal from Japan. So yeah, I mean, I'd like to say that in Arabic, maybe if I could describe the show, and you can test my fusha or wherever I have.
Okay.
Guys, okay. So I'm going to say, في البرنامج صباح المجلس نناقش
Yes.
مواضيع والأخبار من داخل الإمارة والخارج الدولة. وهذه مجلسكم ندعوكم على المسرح
Nice. Yeah.
and نبادل رأيكم.
Wow.
So Abdul Karim is saying, basically, we look forward to hearing your opinion, hearing from you. Our beloved listeners, the text lines are open 4215. What do you think of Abdul Karim's Arabic?
Yeah, text lines remain open 4215 for you to have your say and judge us and judge the description that we just had on the Morning Majlis. Every morning, 7 until 10 a.m. to liven up your day. The trio comes together on النبض 95.
Wow.
فاصل
Pulse
صفر.
95.
فاصل صفر.
Yes.
There we go. Then, yeah, that's it. We will be coming back right after a little bit of a break and continuing the discussions right here on the Morning Majlis. Up next, it's Japan's new Prime Minister and updates on the Asian economy. Stay tuned to Pulse 95.
Pulse 95.
The Morning Majlis, talking the stories that are shaping headlines. This is Pulse 95.
This is Pulse 95 and very warm welcome back onto the Morning Majlis. Now, big story that emerged from Japan is that the new Prime Minister is set to take over. The member of the ruling party, Japan's Yoshihide Suga, the president of the Japanese ruling party, is set to become the nation's next prime minister today, pulling together a continuity cabinet, about half of which will not change from the current makeup. That's according to local reports. He's been the longtime aide and chief cabinet secretary under the outgoing Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. He won a landslide victory to take over the Liberal Democratic Party. He's pledged to carry on most of Shinzo Abe's programs, including his signature Abenomics economic strategy.
Yes, and that strategy was designed to stimulate Japan's economy via monetary easing, fiscal spending, and structural reforms as well. He said he'd raise the minimum wage, promote agricultural reforms, and boost tourism. But Japan's political outlook at the moment is incredibly difficult. It's a toughest time to transition as Japan is still reeling from the coronavirus pandemic, which has caused Japan's biggest economic slump on record. There are also unfinished businesses as far as the government's plans to reform the post-war pacifist constitution, an aging population as well. That is another issue as far as jobs are concerned. So a lot for him to take in and take on in his new role as the prime minister.
Yeah, he said he will pursue Abe's unfinished policies and that his priorities will be fighting the coronavirus and turning around an economy battered by that pandemic. And he did gain the support of party heavyweights and their followers early in the campaign on expectations he would continue Abe's line. Now, but he did praise Abe's diplomacy and economic policies when asked about what he would like to accomplish as prime minister. Now, he does not belong to any wing within the party and opposes factionalism, but he did say that he is a reformer who will break down vested interests and rules that hamper reforms. He says he will set up a new government agency to speed up Japan's lagging digital transformation. That's definitely on his mind. And also, in a reshuffle of the ruling party key posts, however, he evenly allocated top posts to key factions, a balancing action seen as a return of favor for their support in the leadership race. He also said that he will appoint reform-minded, hard-working people to the new cabinet to be launched later today. About half of the members in the Abe cabinet are expected to be retained or shifted to different ministerial posts.
Yeah, and looking at the economic situation over in that part of the world, the Asian Development Bank says the Asian economy will shrink by 0.7% in the year 2020, but the region is expected to rebound strongly in 2021, growing by 6.8% next year. The bank's Asian Development Outlook update also shows about 3/4 of the region's economies are forecast to slump this year. Most economies in the Asia and Pacific region can expect a difficult growth path for the rest of 2020. That's according to the chief economist Yasuyuki Sawada, who said that in a statement as well. So it'll be very interesting to see. Looking at South Asia as well, not the best of all situations as well.
Yes, it is likely to be the worst affected, according to the analysts. They're saying China's bucking the trend, however. Its growth is forecast at 1.8%, while India's economy, and this is a startling number, it is expected to contract 9% this year. Southeast Asia, on the other hand, is likely to see a drop of 3.8%. And what's been heavily affected amid the pandemic are the tourism-dependent island economies. They've seen wrenching economic contractions, particularly Fiji. Its economy is expected to shrink by 19.5%. The Maldives likely to see a 20.5% contraction. But some good news here is that the region is expected to recover next year with growth of 6.8%.
Well, we're hoping that things do rebound and get better for most of these economies. Time now for us to take a bit of a break, and we shall return right back after the news headlines and continuing the discussions right here on Pulse 95.
This is Pulse 95.
Pulse 95.
It's the Morning Majlis.
It's the Morning Majlis.
British Airways has announced direct flights from Lahore to London Heathrow, another new destination added on the British Airways network, and it is going to start on the 14th of October. The airline says, which had resumed flights to Pakistan after more than a decade last year in June, it already flies to Islamabad and became the first time it flew to Islamabad in is 1976. According to a statement by the British High Commission in Islamabad, the flights will be operated by a 7878 that is going to be flying from to Lahore. And Dr. Christian Turner, who's the British High Commissioner to Pakistan, said this first ever British Airways flight to Lahore is a sign of confidence with the country and also deepening ties between the two countries. And they're hoping will open up lots of opportunities.
Yes, it would. And we're seeing this rush to Pakistan. This announcement from British Airways comes just a couple weeks after rival UK airline Virgin Atlantic also announced its own expansion to Pakistan. And the rush of new services is likely the result of the EASA ban on flights into Europe by Pakistan International Airlines. That airline is banned from flying into Europe for 6 months as a result of a scandal involving fake pilot licenses. Airline said it was not going to appeal the ban until it ironed out its internal problems. But yes, this is a good sign. Things are settling down here between Britain and Pakistan. Confidence in the market is high, according to the statements here by the British High Commissioner as well.
Yeah, a statement from British Airways head of sales for the Middle East and Asia Pacific saying that the new services will connect two of Pakistan's biggest cities with London and offer seamless transfer options to Manchester, the United States, and also Canada. Following the relaunch of services from Islamabad to Heathrow earlier this year, this new flight from Lahore represents our continued investment in Pakistan, according to Berger. Following a halt due to the coronavirus pandemic, the airline resumed flight operations to Islamabad last month. And also, Dr. Turner said at the same time that the resumption of British Airways direct flights is a big boost for hundreds of thousands of travelers who travel regularly between our two great nations, many who have had their travel plans disrupted, obviously, by the pandemic.
Yeah, big business idea, really. Ever since the PIA faced its own challenges and the ban from flying to EU, there was only one option then for them to fly off to different parts of the globe, was to use the Gulf carriers. And if British Airways, if they're going to introduce this option, it really facilitates because there's a huge Pakistani population that's based in the UK as well.
Yeah.
So for them to get a direct flight without having to do transits, because transits are great, but there's still a hassle because there's another flight, disembark, check in again, boarding again. But if you fly here from Islamabad or even Heathrow, from Lahore to Heathrow, you have those connections from Heathrow to Canada, the Heathrow to United States. So a very, very impressive decision taken by British Airways. They saw the opportunity and they've pounced on it so far. So October 14, Lahore is going to be the new place. And for a new destination for British Airways to be flying off to. And Lahore is a very cultural capital, cultural destination in Pakistan. I'm pretty sure a lot of tourists also are flying in, or even sporting teams flying in from the UK will be happy about this news. Well, stay tuned to Pulse 95. Up next, we shall be talking about a disappointment. You know why?
Why?
Because Apple did a big event. Everyone talked about it, saying iPhone 12 is going to be out. Nothing happened.
Uh-oh.
Tragic. Well, right after the business news, stay tuned to Pulse 95.
This is Pulse 95.
Pulse 95.
It's the Morning Majlis.
It's the Morning Majlis.
Some tech news for you this morning. Apple has finished its Time Flies event yesterday. This was Apple's first fall event this year, and people around this time of the year are accustomed to their new iPhones being released. But the company took the wraps off their new Apple Watches and iPads instead. And a lot of big announcements here. The new Apple Watch Series 6 that was unveiled at the event, and it's one of those watches with 1 million health sensors on board. What's interesting about this one is it can measure your blood oxygen saturation.
Wow.
So if you want to know what your blood oxygen saturation is, there you have it. It's interesting how many meters they put into these things.
Yeah, they announced a bunch of new hardware and some software. And the biggest announcements included, Apple Watch Series 6, the Apple Watch SE, the new 8th generation iPad, the new iPad Air, Fitness Plus, workout services, Apple One service bundles as well. And it also said that iOS 14, its new iPhone software, will launch on Wednesday with lots of new features such as widgets, a new way to organize your home screen, security enhancements, and more. But Apple did not announce new iPhones. Those are expected at a future launch, perhaps, I don't know, next month maybe?
Yeah, I mean, when they hyped it up by saying, okay, we've got this big event where we're going to be launching and unveiling a few things, you'd always think, okay, this is it. This is the time. And during September is when they do announce these new gadgets. When I spoke to a couple of people here on Pulse 95 as well about making a big purchase on an item such as an Apple Watch, a lot of them said, look, wait till Series 6 is out, wait till this is out, wait till this is out. And I was very determined that my migration from the world of Android would be delayed or move on to the iPhone 12.
Yeah.
With no announcement now, that transition is going to be delayed even further. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. But the main talking point there was the Apple Watch SE, a low-price version of the watch that brings higher-end features of the watch range, but at a slightly lower price of about $280. Apple Watch 6 should have a longer-lasting battery, courtesy of the new S6 chipset. And there's also the new iPad 4. And not much different there either, apart from better service and better battery. Something that
it's like $600.
Yeah,
I think.
Well, it's just for an industry perspective as well. You'd always.
But it will come in 5 different colors.
Oh,
That's what they said. Yeah, it will come in rose gold, silver, space gray, green, and blue.
all about them different shades and different colors. But yeah, if you are someone who's a tech aficionado, love your tech, then do get involved in the text lines 4215. I'm pretty sure Future Talk will have lots to say about this. They'll be discussing this in greater detail. Our dedicated tech show in Pulse 95 right at 2 p.m. is when it's going to start. So do stay tuned to Pulse 95 for that. Lots of interesting shows to be having later on today. But sadly, guys, we will be moving on from the world of Apple, and my dream and the expectations are moving into iPhone 12. Delayed further.
There you go.
No, very sad indeed. Up next, we will be talking about the world of glaciers. We'll be talking about something that really matters to us. As Ahmed said earlier, that it only seemed distant and seemed too far away. But an iceberg or an ice territory
Could impact us.
Yeah, as large as a city or Paris, or as large as the French capital, has broken off. What's happening? All this will be discussed right here on the Morning Majlis.
Pulse 95. You're listening to Pulse 95. Pulse 95.
It's Pulse 95.